Hello everyone, Fallen here bringing you another Total War Rome 2 update. With the game demonstration and release of new information at E3, like often with approaching popular games, a storm of debate, controversy, and complaints on forums across the internet has spawned. This usually happens when players don't have much to do besides speculate while they sit and wait for a game's release. In my personal opinion, a great deal of these controversies are over-exaggerated and due to misinterpretation and misunderstood information. With that, I would like to address the top 6 controversies surrounding Rome 2 and their myths and facts. This first video will cover the first 3 controversies. The first controversy is capture points. After this capture point was seen in the E3 demonstration during a non-siege battle, it caused the largest of uproars on the forums to date. The controversy is that some people believe Creative Assembly is doing away with battle realism and forcing fans to play a specific way, eliminating player freedom and reducing strategy. Some players also complain it makes the game too arcade or game-like. Let's talk about the myths and facts surrounding capture points, shall we? First things first, there's been no indication from Creative Assembly that these capture points will be present in everyday, normal, open-field, bread-and-butter battles, which make up the majority of any Total War game. Creative Assembly has only stated that they will appear in siege battles, historic battles, and forced march battles where one army is defending a baggage train. Second, some players believe that the capture point shown in the video at E3 was part of a non-historical battle, hence their fear of capture points appearing in regular campaign battles. I find this to be highly unlikely because, as you can see at the start of this battle, an in-game narrator from the Egyptian's viewpoint is explaining the situation of the battle as the camera pans to not only the various Egyptian forces, but also the enemy Roman ones. This is a feature that has only been present in past Total War games for historic battles. It's very hard to believe that there will be specific narrations in-game detailing the exact layout of your and the enemy's army before every regular battle. It is far more likely that what we are watching is a historical battle with specific field objectives and defensive points that must be maintained. Let's talk in regards to capture points being unrealistic to game-like or narrowing playstyles. While yes, I do admit it is unlikely in a real battle that just because a certain spot was captured by the enemy, that a whole opposing army would lay down their weapons and stop fighting. But at the end of the day, this is a video game, and at some point Creative Assembly has to draw the line and find ways to develop strategy into their game. We cannot forget that this is a video game. If players wanted completely realistic battles, they would have to spend hours fighting each other, staring at men kill each other over the course of an entire afternoon. Obviously, a degree of realism has to be sacrificed at some point in a video game. If you want real-life War Simulator 2013, it might be better if you just enlist in your country's military. Besides, capture points are already present in Shogun 2's multiplayer, much to that game's success. In the absence of capture points in Shogun 2 multiplayer, most online head-to-head battles would probably just have the players camping in opposite corners of the map. I imagine that they would just stare at each other waiting for the other to get bored enough to put themselves at a disadvantage and give up their defensive position by attacking. You have to admit at the end of the day that capture points encourage fun gameplay and move the game towards a resolution. They encourage action and fighting in the game rather than stalling the game and making it boring. Regardless if you agree with my personal opinions on capture points, and how you feel about them one way or the other, I just want to refocus on the main point, which is that everyone should relax on this capture point issue. Creative Assembly has not stated that they will appear in regular open field battles, and it's unlikely that capture points will appear outside of historical, sieged, or forced marched ambushes. What this means is that capture points will be a minor part of the game, seen in only a limited scope, and that the majority of the gameplay will be unaffected by their existence. Let's move on to the second controversy. The giant ballistas. In this E3 video, giant ballistas were shown towering roughly 20 feet tall and firing flaming stones at the enemy. The controversy is that some claim there is no such thing as giant ballistas in history, that ballistas could only fire bolts, that ballistas were never that accurate, and that artillery this large would never have been used outside of a siege battle. The facts. First off, let me say while it is true ballistas traditionally fired bolts, there were some designed to fire stones, such as shown in this video from the BBC TV program Building the Impossible, who I hope by the way don't sue me for using some of their footage. Second, ballistas could vary in size. Usually they were the small version that most of us picture when we think ballista, but again, as you can see in this video, the historically rebuilt Roman ballista made to its full size is similar in size to the ballistas shown in the video. Considering the accuracy of the ballistas in the video, some ballistas were actually extremely accurate. We know this by multiple accounts from history where they were used to pick off single soldiers one at a time. It is probably true though that artillery this large wouldn't have been used outside of a siege battle. I do have to agree with that point. Finally, for balance purposes, I want to point out that these great ballistas from the video will probably only be in the late game and available at the top of the tech tree. The third major controversy is the new mass rating assigned to units and the claim that it is overpowered in some instances, mainly with chariots. New to Total War Rome 2 is mass rating. All units will have a mass rating that affects the damage they do on impact after a charge. Light armored units will have the lowest mass, while cavalry, chariots, and elephants will have the highest. The controversy comes 100% from this shot in the E3 video, where one unit of chariots charging downhill is shown completely decimating a unit of infantry. The facts. Let me start out by pointing out that these chariots were charging downhill, which is the best possible scenario for them to do maximum damage. Second, at least half the units knocked down were not killed but actually get back up. This is very similar to chariots from the first Total War game, where chariots were infamous for knocking apart units of infantry, but the majority of the soldiers would stand back up. Also, chariots are the most powerful only on their initial charge. They crash into the enemy and break apart ranks, sure, but after that it is usually hard for them to get out of combat and back up to full speed for another good charge, not without sustaining heavy casualties themselves. They usually get tied down in hand-to-hand combat after their charge and are rather brittle units. At least this is how they work in Rome Total War, which is the best indicator for Total War Rome 2. Once the initial shock damage from chariots has been dealt, their usefulness usually quickly diminishes. Finally, let me remind you that this video was designed by Creative Assembly for maximum shock and awe. They were looking to please the crowd and wanted a shot full of carnage. This is only one small instance of chariot usage, and it was cherry-picked to be used in an important game demonstration video at E3. With that, we wrap up summarizing the first 3 of the 6 major controversies surrounding Rome 2 at the moment. Please stay tuned for part 2. In the meantime, I'd like to hear all of your opinions on the capture points, giant ballistas, and chariots in the comments below. Finally, if you got this far in my video, I really hope that you will like it and subscribe for more Rome 2 videos. Thank you for watching, everyone. I will see you next time.